welcome everybody. Before we get started and to talk about the UX and adoption of staking to 1 billion users, I would like to give our guests and panelists a chance to introduce themselves real quick. Let's start with you, JK.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm JK. I'm the founder of Apibara, and Apibara builds products and toolings for the staking ecosystem. So far, we've built out protocol staking.info, where we share the latest staking statistics. And then now we're currently building out staking.xyz, and that's going to launch in 1 or 2 months, but we'll see. Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Mete Elmas, working at KuCoin as head of BD in MENA. I've been working for KuCoin for more than 2 years, and I've been exposed, let's say, to crypto in 2016, right before ICO boom, we can say. Before that, just like any of you, probably I was working in the real sectors like automotive, etc. But this passion brought me here, I guess.
Thank you, Mete. Howie.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm Howie from Tencent Cloud. So Tencent Cloud is one of the largest cloud vendor with 26 global regions, supports Web3 and crypto as one of our key strategic target. And we have from small validators as well as large validators as our customers, which is happily using our offers. And we are supporting from classic networks like Ethereum to the very much later newer networks like Sui, Ascent. So we have tailored solutions and good support for validators. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Then let's jump into our conversation. To get 1 billion stakers, we need to have more than 1 billion crypto users. So I would like to kick this off big picture. What is the prerequisite for crypto to get 1 billion or more than 1 billion users? Today, we have about 9 million stakers and 400 million crypto users. Rough estimate. JK, what has to happen?
And I'll speak specifically for staking, right? How do we get to that threshold? One day, like, there was a time where I thought, so I mean, I'll say the problem first, and it's really about the complexity of staking, both on the protocol end and on the UX end, on how users interact. To discuss the first part, all the protocols currently existing out today that uses proof of stake has vastly different staking functionality. It's all very different, and because we've made it so complicated, it's impossible to explain this to regulators, to ordinary users. I mean, we ourselves are sometimes confused. So we need to solve that area of abstracting that complexity away. The other part is UX. I've run customer support, as part of the customer support at Stakefish. I've seen the users, their workflow on how they go about staking. It's very complicated when you think about it from the user's perspective, who really just want to stake and don't understand what a wallet is, what unbonding period is, what validators are. And for them, it's very scary to get started. And so we really need to solve that user interface and UX problem as well. So there's 2 phases to this.
And Mete, I think at working for KuCoin, I think your company thinks about getting 1 billion users yourselves.
I'll try my best.
So, tell us a little bit about it. How to go get 1 billion users in crypto?
Actually, as you said, according to AAA, I guess there are more than 9 million stakers, but KuCoin exchange alone have 30 million users. So if we are talking about reaching or bringing crypto 1 billion users, it may be a little bit radical beginning, but we will be much closer to 1 billion, in my very humble opinion, when crypto hodlers can be satisfied with their crypto assets without expressing their wealth in terms of fiat money. Of course, this view doesn't include removing of fiat money from circulation at all. I don't want to get arrested right now, but To be honest, even so-called crypto geeks are expressing their wealth in terms of fiat money. They should stop it because, especially if you are a person with have some trust issues to crypto, expressing a crypto guy his wealth with fiat money reinforces your concerns. So this should be a factor in my very humble opinion again. And the second thing is crypto is still very complex for Uncle Joe. It's maybe a little bit cliche, but it's true. And staking is not an exception, but I think we'll go through it during the panel. So I will talk more about it.
Thank you. Howie, how does get crypto more than 1 billion users?
Yeah, so 1 billion users, that's a very big number. So I Googled a bit. So basically, it is the number that in 2000 for internet grows during the past 23 years to a number of 5 billion internet users globally. So if we 10 times the current stakers and the current cryptocurrency users, it will exactly reach this number. Proportional will solve the problem, right? But we have to see that it took so much time for internet, for Web 2. So the easiest thing would be we try to transfer those 5 billion internet users to Web 3, and part of them will have a stake. So in this case, problem solved. And the other part, I would say, is classic finance. Digital currency as a new type of asset. So people want to put money in a bank in a way that they want to put their money for like an ETF fund or by an institute to make a stake, but it's more from a perspective of investment or value holding. So in this way, I believe that this will bring us also a lot of staking users or in a way of dedicated staking. Yeah.
All right. So let's imagine a world that you described. We get there. We have more than 1 billion crypto users. Let's talk about staking. And to start off, let's talk about our different perspectives on staking. What is it? Is it a security service? Is it economic rewards and investment? Or is it about governance? Let's start with you, Mete.
Okay, I guess as an exchange representative, I should talk more about the delegation perspective. If we summarize the items you just mentioned as validation, delegation, and of course, some in time to time incentivization. At KuCoin Exchange, in custodian perspective, because basically people keeping their assets on our platform, and we are working hard to provide the best products, best earn or staking products or services that set the industry standards. So talking about this perspective for KuCoin Exchange, in essence, staking is more about delegation, because people are basically delegating their tokens or their coins to us. They are trusting us. But this is only the exchange perspective. KuCoin is an entity with many muscles. We have KuCoin Labs, KuCoin Ventures, and sometimes for one entity, staking may mean more than one, let's say, explanation. For KuCoin Labs and Ventures, for example, especially during their incubation and investment phases, due diligence phases, staking can primarily be validation, for example, or in some cases it can be governance, because they have to do it. But on exchange sides, we are still trying hard to, let's say, be the best version of delegation perspective of staking.
Yeah, it is even called earn, right? So very good. Thank you so much. JK, what is staking?
Yeah, staking is a crypto economic game that helps secure the integrity of a protocol. And the protocol could be a proof of stake network, or it could be middleware like Chainlink or DeGraph. That's what it is. Anything outside that is not staking, period. Arbitrum currently passed their newest vote. That's not staking. And attempts like that really does confuse regulators, because they're going to start then categorizing tokens being locked up in a smart contract as staking, and group that up with Ethereum staking, where there's a lot more work being done by the ETH stakers. It's not just being locked in a smart contract, right? When you're doing ETH staking, you're actually securing the integrity of the Ethereum network. It's fundamentally different. So I know the Proof of Stake Alliance did release sort of like their guidance on the best practices on how to define staking. Like, these attempts need to happen because we really need to stop butchering the term staking, because the more we do it, the more we're just shooting ourselves in the foot. Later down the road, the regulators, we're already sort of seeing this in some of their opinion letters, they're grouping together everything, including lending, with staking. And this is the way for us to, this is a road to nowhere, essentially. So want to make sure that it's clear that, proof of stake, it must be essential. Staking must be essential on preserving the integrity of the protocol. That's what staking is.
Howie, from an infrastructure provider point of view, what is staking?
From an infrastructure perspective, I think it's very, very important. But first of all, for staking, I think it's a very broad term, yeah. So my understanding is that people put their assets or tokens getting locked and usually getting back some rewards. Not necessarily, but that is most probably as it happens till today. But some type of new staking, like non-fungible tokens, can also be getting staked and get back a reward, but without join transactions or get a validation phase. So it can be different. But as of today, I would say staking needs a very strong and also kind of decentralized infrastructure supported. That's a very big challenge, as we all know that it's highly centralized by big data centers or cloud vendors in the world to support many big networks. From our side, so we are supporting our customers to choose another stable and solid cloud as a first step for distributed cloud, multi-cloud operation to go to the first step of decentralization. So that is my understanding of the staking. But probably I would say why the challenge is so big here is that we have talked about the numbers of the internet user growth in the past 20 years. It is backed by a very solid cloud centralized operation to support such very big utility of internet to change everybody's real life. So that's how internet gets success. So for Web3 or staking, we want to achieve the same, still under the assumption of decentralization, which is type of why it makes so much sense. So we can imagine that the challenge could be how big, because we have to solve probably the same scale of size of the users to provide real value to them, to change the life, technically in such kind of systems, but not in a centralized way, in a decentralized way. So I would say there is a long way to go, but we will be there in the future, step by step. Yeah.
Benedict, I was just curious about your definition, honestly. Your definition of staking, actually, because stakingworlds.com, right? You guys are like the face of staking in a lot of ways. I'm curious about how you guys define staking as well, actually.
Yeah, I can speak first for myself. So the reason why I'm asking the question, and what is very obvious also by the responses, staking means something different depending on your context. So if you ask in the Cosmos ecosystem context, a delegator, he says, I stake for governance. It's perfectly fine in Cosmos. In Ethereum, it's a different game. In Ethereum, a staker has to be a validator, like first and foremost, right? To call himself a staker. And so I would say it depends on the context. And this is also why I wanted to have this question before we even go into adoption, because it is very context dependent. And another thing I would like to extend. So what problems are there from the different point of views to get to 1 billion stakers? Maybe we start from the earn perspective.
Okay. Of course, we can talk about more than one core problems about staking, including regulations, infrastructure, or sometimes UX, incentivization, etc., etc. But again, talking about an exchange, a centralized exchange, or talking as an exchange representative, I would like to stay more on the UX side, because as you all know, centralized crypto exchanges are in a claim of bridging the gap between decentralized finance and centralized finance. And again, staking is not an exception. In terms of UX, staking should be intuitive, it should be inclusive, and it should be user-friendly. To be honest, especially on the decentralized finance side, I don't think that we get there yet. But centralized exchanges, including KuCoin, tries to provide the best user experience, even for the ones who are not very well authorized of technological jargon, or let's say even if they are not tech savvy or financially privileged. You can just go on a centralized platform like KuCoin, just deposit $10 and start staking. It's not only about money, the amount of the money, but at the same time, it's the easiness of usage, just with few clicks. So in my opinion, UX is one of the biggest problems of staking or let's say barriers to overcome to reach 1 billion stakers. And in the short term, there are many projects which have the potential to overcome this issue on DeFi side. Basically, yeah, these are my opinions.
Do you think, to elaborate a little bit on this, do you think from a custodian has sort of a shortcut to a good UX in comparison to a non-custodian?
Actually, sometimes yes, I would say sometimes no, but generally yes. Being a custodian also gives you the responsibility of trust, as you might know. And when it comes to staking, I mean, basically you are locking your assets for a time, and you definitely need a trustworthy platform to do it. Right. In terms of this trust, we are really building or building the best products and also cooperating with external partners to bring the best opportunity.
Right. Thank you.
Just a quick question to Mete. Does KuCoin work with validators to launch staking on KuCoin itself, or are you guys running validators yourselves internally?
Actually, it depends on the projects, but for sometimes we are validators directly. So basically people are delegating to us, and sometimes we use staking as a service. That's the...
Thank you. From your perspective, what do you think are problems for the staking UX?
First off, the things as mentioned already is the infrastructure in a decentralized way to supporting different networks, including staking. Second one, I would also say the governance and also in the regional and different country, different attitude towards digital assets and blockchain in general, because this has a big impact from the finance perspective for institutions. From this perspective, a lot of users, if they want to operate their own, for example, home staking or this kind of approach, which is in theory, yes, but practically very low chance, I would say. Most of us probably would expect either a custodial or non-custodial type of way to get staked by a trusted party in this way.
So I've already said UI, UX. I won't repeat that. Maybe another angle to talk about the reason for like the hurdle to adoption is going to be data. There's actually a lot of assets being staked with suboptimal validators, and at times, like we're talking about more than 100 basis points just left on the table by putting your stake with a validator that is not performing well. I mean, if you're staking as an institution, if you're staking 100 million, like that's 7 figs of real yield that you're leaving on the table and walking away from. Surprisingly, this is like really widespread, believe it or not, and there's no sign of this actually improving at all. Of course, stakingrewards.com does provide a way of getting to that, but I think there needs to be multiple sort of threads of efforts to try to make sure that we have more visibility and data around how staking is actually functioning behind the scenes. Because also at the end of the day, this also leads to audits too, right? You can't really tell auditors, hey, this is how much we earned, but we have no idea, like, where we got these rewards. Like that doesn't work, right? So I would say the data part is the other part of the puzzle that I don't think a lot of people are also paying attention to.
Yeah, it's another interesting thing is when you think about staking, you think about everything but, for instance, boring topics like taxes or accounting. But for instance, at Staking Rewards, our head of research is from Germany. And whenever I want to know his opinion about something, he also adds the information, this is a taxable event or this isn't. So I think this is, it sounds funny, but this is actually probably an adoption problem in these countries where staking is a taxable event. And just imagine in the countries with the highest adoption, if staking wouldn't be a taxable event, I think this would contribute to the adoption significantly.
Maybe if we just took this question to Gary Gensler, he will apply the Howey test. He always makes this.
One thing I do want to add on the taxation front is I do want to give a shout out to like Trust Finance, which I think is working on staking specifically on the taxation front. And I say this only because I've personally also worked with various different tax firms to see whether or not they actually can track staking rewards. A lot of them unfortunately cannot, but like Trust Finance seem to have actually done it. But other than them, of course, validators, some top validators also do have really good tracking systems. So definitely worthwhile checking out like the institutional focused validators out here, like Figment, of course, Luganodes, Kiln, like these are all great names, Blockdaemon. So yeah, there definitely are a few players who do track taxation.
So yeah, we'll approach our last topic, and then afterwards I would like to open the floor for a few questions. So whoever will be interested after the last questions, please raise your hand and we'll try to get a few questions in. So to finish up, I would like to hear, we talked about adoption, we talked about staking. I would like to hear about either a recent topic
approaches were good at that time, but I don't want to stick on their backend. Rather, they have some items which are community engagement, incentivization, also innovation and accessibility. These 4 items shouldn't be missed if we want to go to mass adoption in staking. At the same time, if we are going to talk about the trends, rather than ETF staking, to be honest, I don't want to talk about it before it becomes real. But liquid staking is still a good trend for the mass adoption. But at the same time, cross-chain staking hypes up because it directly removes the barrier for sticking on one blockchain to stake your assets. And with the, if it consists with liquid staking, it gives you the maximum flexibility right now. So these two is good. These two are good trends recently, in my opinion.
Thank you. JK?
So I really want to see more simplicity from the different chains launching. If it's not simple, it's like so difficult for teams like StakingWars.com, teams like Apibara to really understand and try to explain this to end users. So if we're having a hard time, that means that end users, trust me, are not going to understand what's going on at all. So I really do hope people do strive for simplicity more. And I do fear that we're stepping away from it, which is a concerning sign. But recently, I think the project that really did pique my interest, I guess, is DYDX. Primarily because when you stake DYDX, you're earning your staking rewards on USDC. That's a first. That has never happened yet on any proof of stake protocols. We will see how that plays out, but it's very interesting, the fact that you could earn USDC on DYDX. I will say though, one last comment I would like to make is I would like to tell the audience and everyone to not focus too much on LST, actually. I caution against it. LST in Ethereum, yes, is interesting, but LST elsewhere, outside of Ethereum, has really not any adoption. And I think, so I caution against people thinking like LST is going to be the answer to higher adoption on staking.
You're going to have a lot of fun and people to talk to about this.
No.
Real quick, good example, Howie, before we open the floor for a last question, because we're running out of time.
Yeah, so good examples, I would say still is something, finance product which is supported by regulators, or something could really change people or end users' real life, make a lot of sense, so that people want to stake something, not just for a revenue, because it comes with the money. When there is a bull run, when there is not, probably an institution or a private person, they will just come and go. So what makes them stay? So they need a very strong value of the system or applications or ecosystem of blockchains, whatever innovations could happen there. So what I see that, for example, for gaming or for NFTs, for those tokens get staked, probably it's not for a goal of earnings on revenue, but to prove kind of identity or form a society, whatever type of utilizations. Yeah. So.
Thank you. We're out of time, but I promised you get at least one question. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask a question? Obviously, otherwise, after the panel, you can catch these guys for the next 2 days.
I guess everyone is here for business.
Thank you.